What's going on, everybody? My name is Curci, and Injustice 2. Injustice 2 follows the events of the original Injustice Gods Among Us game, and it is a alternate reality for the DC universe. It basically tells the story of what happens if Superman is evil. And as you find out in the original game, what happens is that Superman ends up ruling the world. He has this regime, and he rules with an iron fist. And it's up to Batman to kind of lead a resistance to overthrow him. And that's the events of the first game. In fact, spoilers for the first game, Batman wins, and he overthrows Superman with the help of a different universe of heroes. Basically, the heroes that we're all familiar with, the Justice League that we all know and love, they kind of cross over into this universe because that Batman pulls them and is like, I kind of need your help, so help me out. So our Superman fights evil Superman and ends up beating him. And then evil Superman gets imprisoned, which is where we are in this game. It follows the events of what happens in a post-Superman regime world. It does a pretty good job of doing that. There's a lot of conflict with a lot of characters. There are characters that were loyal to Superman in the original that have switched sides. Characters like the Flash and Green Lantern. The Flash is really heavily utilized in this story where when you first see him, he's not dressed up as the Flash. But one of the conditions to being pardoned is that he's not allowed to use his powers. However, there is an event that happens that forces him to use his powers. He has the call of duty that he has to answer because he's the Flash. Green Lantern in the previous game was a Yellow Lantern. He was part of the Sinestro Corps, which was a organization fueled by the power of fear. He's basically like the polar opposite of what Green Lantern is supposed to be. But now in this game, he has reverted back to being a Green Lantern, but there are some conflicts. The Red Lanterns that are empowered by rage are trying to seduce him, just trying to have him give into that rage. This is a storyline that I kind of wish that they explored a little bit more, but they didn't, and that was a little disappointing. There's a couple of little things that they hint at in this game that they don't really fully explore, which is a little disappointing, but the game does a great job of taking each character and making them be conflicted. But then the game asks the question, what happens when you have an evil Superman who is in prison right now, and you have a regime that has been overthrown? What happens when there's a threat that pops up, like, oh, I don't know, Brainiac, that requires the aid of Superman? What do you have to do? You have to get the help of Superman. And then there's a little bit of conflict where you're like, okay, we are united against this common enemy, but we don't agree on a lot of things that we should be doing. Like, Superman will resort to killing, but Batman is staying strong. He says, no killing. None. And I think in that there presents a really interesting concept to the story, and it definitely uses certain characters to help elevate this. And I think it's the proper way of answering the first game. It's the right story to follow up. I think, from a guy who doesn't really play fighting games, I think it's the best story in fighting games, the Injustice storyline. I'm talking Injustice 1 and Injustice 2. I think the original is really good because it introduces the concept of an evil Superman and the effects that it has on the Justice League, where they basically tear each other apart and clash with each other. But then the sequel does a good job of following that up and creating these character conflicts that I think really help sell the story even more, and introducing a colossal threat that really kind of strains the very fabric that makes up the world. I think the sequel tells a better story. I like the original because it introduces the concept, but this one took it a step further. There are certain things that I wish it had developed a little bit better, like the conflict going on with Green Lantern and his fight against the Red Lanterns. It's not really a fight, it's just an internal conflict with him. But I wish that there was more of that. But also, like, the story between Batman and Robin. The game kicks off with when Robin turns on Batman and sides with Superman. By the way, Robin in this game is Damian Wayne. He is the son of Bruce Wayne. What you find out in the original game is that Damian Wayne is now the new Nightwing, but he has killed the previous Nightwing, who was Dick Grayson, who was the original Robin. It's this father-son element that just gets destroyed. Like, Batman is like, you killed my son.
You stopped being my son when you killed Dick Grayson. He was my son.
And the game kicks off with, like, not the death of Dick Grayson, but it shows the point where Damian Wayne was like, nah, I'm gonna side with this guy, because this guy will actually do what you won't do, which is kill people. All these villains keep going thrown into Arkham Asylum. They always get out, and they always cause more pain, because you don't have the conviction to put them down for good and save thousands and thousands of other lives. But anyway, the game kicks off with that, but never fully explores it. I thought for a second that it was going to be a theme in the game, where it was Batman trying to reestablish a connection with his son. Nah, here's the scene where Robin goes rogue. Anyway, we're never going to touch that again. So again, yeah, there are certain things in the story of Injustice 2 that it, like, teases but never fully explores. That's kind of the story. I don't want to go too much. I feel like I went too far into it already, but it does a really good job of presenting the story, taking it the next step further that the original set up, and it's a good story. Coming from somebody who doesn't play fighting games, I think it's a really good fighting game. It's easy to pick up. That's how I kind of base my fighting games off of. If somebody who doesn't play fighting games and is as terrible as myself, going into this game and picking it up easily, like, that's gotta be a positive, right? I'm not saying it's an easy game to play, because I went online and got my ass kicked very handily a few times, but the game was never so hard that I wasn't able to win a few matches. In fact, I tweeted out how I got super excited because somebody who sucks at fighting games was able to beat somebody that had over 100 victories. That was a good moment for me. Yes, got him, yes! That felt good. That felt good. Actually kind of really motivates me to continue playing the game, but there was one factor that this game had that I was actually a little hesitant on. Like, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or not, but I actually really end up liking it. There's a gear system in this game, sort of like an RPG element. There are pieces of armor that you can unlock and equip to certain characters that will have certain bonuses here and there, like, oh, it's a bonus damage or a bonus to XP. They're also adding to stats such as strength, defense, ability, and health, and you're sort of managing that to kind of create the perfect Superman or the perfect Batman or the perfect Scarecrow. And it also kind of changes the way that they look. It makes every character unique. And so when you go online, or even when you go into like the multiverse, which is a feature that I will talk about in a second, but you're seeing all the different little combinations of different pieces of armor and different color sets, and it actually looks really cool. You're fighting against a Superman that you've never seen before. But I like it because I feel like there is a slight degree of character progression. It's not a great character progression, but it's just something that is unique to a fighting game. And I think that's what makes Injustice 2 so unique from other fighting games, because there is this RPG element. I'm creating my own Superman or my own Flash that is different from your Superman or your Flash. And the best way to kind of grind out levels, because there are two levels. There's your profile level, and then there's like individual character levels, and I think they max out at about like level 20. But the best way to grind is by going into the multiverse, and these are like sort of ladder challenges where you fight one enemy, then another enemy, then another enemy, and they vary in number, but there's also sometimes little challenges that you can complete. But they're also not available forever. Some of them will disappear in like a couple days, some will disappear in a couple hours, some will disappear in a couple minutes. So when you load up the game, you go into the multiverse, and then you're like, okay, there's a couple of little different Earths that I can go to, and each of those enemies that you fight are gonna have different outfits. So like, I'll fight against a blue Flash that has like a full-on face mask, or I'll fight against a Superman that has the, what is it, the Red Sun logo? Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's the Red Sun. It's the Russian logo, or Soviet Union, whatever. But there are different challenges and different modifiers. Like, you go to a certain Earth, then there are going to be global objectives for that Earth. So it'll be like, beat this mission with this character, or beat this one without losing or something. Sometimes with certain matches, they'll have little tiny objectives that you can complete in that match, such as like land 10 jumping attacks or something, or use like 10 supers. Which, by the way, the super moves in this game, some of them are good, some of them are, alright. I know a lot of people have been saying this. I feel like I'm saying the same thing that everybody else says. The Flash's super move is really cool because he just takes his opponent and he starts slamming him up against stuff, and one of them is a freaking T-Rex. Then there are some that don't really have a great super move, like Bane. I don't think Bane has a great super move. Anyway, talking about multiverse and bonus objectives. But you complete those little objectives and it will add to your total score or add to your bonuses, and you'll get loot boxes, which are mother boxes. DC Universe reference, basically. But that will give you gear. It's random what you get, but you get good gear, you throw it to your character. That's also a really cool thing that I like about this game, is that I started playing the game trying to get good with Superman, and I'm kind of with him. Then I started playing the Flash and a couple of multiverse things, because the game was like, complete this mission with the Flash, and it turned out I was actually really good with the Flash. So I took the Flash into online, and I actually won a couple of games straight. I ended up losing shortly thereafter, but the point being is that I figured out a character that I was really good at, and I started playing with him more and started practicing. And it's one of those things where you're starting to develop, you're starting to learn the combos, you're learning the abilities, when to best use certain things here and there, and it is a great experience. Again, this whole idea of character progression. You work with a certain character, you get better and better and better and better, and you take them online, and maybe you win a few. But again, the whole gear progression system, the multiverse, being able to go into an area, fight against random enemies. Also, by the way, the multiverse actually has like this modifier, so there are different modifiers here and there, where one will decrease your health over time, others will give you giant flaming fists. Not every multiverse is going to have a modifier, but some of them do. Some of them allow you to use Robin as a backup, or a sidekick is what the game refers to. I guess it would be sidekick, like superheroes, you know, they have sidekicks. But basically, as you're fighting against an opponent, you can just hit a button and your buddy Robin will come in for an attack, and you just wait for that to recharge, you do it again. But there's enough variety in the game that just allows me to keep coming back. Like, maybe I spend 20 minutes playing in a multiverse, and then I'll jump into online for a little bit, fight against a couple of people, maybe I win some, maybe I lose a lot. But I think the game does a good job of being a game that is easily picked up. It has characters that you love. If you love Mortal Kombat, it's made by the same people. I don't know if I said that yet. So yeah, I think Injustice 2 is a really damn good game. It's a fighting game that is easy to pick up. There's this character progression system. You're kind of creating creating your own Flash or your own Superman or your own Batman, and you go online and you fight against other varieties of them, or you go into the multiverse and you fight against different varieties of them, or you just have fun with the story. It's a great story. And if you're not interested in anything about the game, you're not a fighting game person, but you're really interested in the story, yeah, I guess you could just watch the cutscenes. You're not missing much out by not actually playing the game. If you get the cutscenes, you're getting the entire experience as far as story goes. But if you actually really like Mortal Kombat or you like fighting games, then yeah, this game's for you. I like it. I'm not really a huge fighting game fan, and this is a game that I enjoy and have been playing pretty consistently over the past couple of days. In fact, this is the game that I've only been playing over the past few days. Started playing it, went through the story. When the story was done, for the past couple days, I've just been doing multiverse and online stuff, furthering my Flash, making him stronger and faster. It's going to take some time. You're not going to pick up the game, and after like an hour, you're going to be great with a certain character. Like, no, just take them into the multiverse, try out different combos, try to learn different new abilities, and then take that into online, get your ass kicked a couple of times, realize the mistakes that you need to start fixing, like, oh, I don't know, blocking. I need to learn how to frickin' block. But yeah, that's fighting game. Go online, you learn your mistakes, and then you improve. It's like anything. So yeah, Injustice 2, it's a good game. I would highly recommend it. But if you're not really into fighting games, maybe not for you. I'm saying the game is easy to pick up and easy to learn. But if you're just no fighting games. I'm not into fighting games. I'm just all terrible at them. Then you know what? Just watch the cutscenes on YouTube or something. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.